गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। वाहर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वाहर्तप्रतिवर्तये जगदौ पितरौ वन्दे பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரौ। செந்தமிழ்த்தாயே, என் செயலனை முச்சனை உனக்களித்தேன், நீ நைந்தாயினில் நைந்து போகும் என் வாழ்வு, மேனிலை உனக்கினில் எனக்கும் தானே. My heartfelt good afternoon to all the delegates and co-professionals present here. At the outset, I would be failing in my duty if I don't record with gratitude my deepest sense of appreciation and also my heartfelt thanks to the team ably led by Sri Shyam and assisted by an excellent team led by Mr. Ramasubramaniam for having organized a wonderful 3-day program with a very beautiful theme of ushering our country into a newer world where the fundamental idea is going to be corporate governance. When an opportunity was thrown open to me to address such a vast gathering of professionals, I was left myself a little bit confused as to where to start. But thankfully, the organizers, knowingly, unknowingly, have given me an escape route. The session was aptly titled Learning Governance, which primarily means, I would like to disclaim, I am not a pundit or scholar on Indian scriptures, and I would like to share some of the insights which I have enjoyed thanks to excellent gurus who had initiated me into understanding those scriptures. I was surprised to read a press release in New Indian Express dated 6th November, where our Honorable President of the Institute has stated, we are planning governance code based on ancient scriptures. Though I was surprised, my surprise was because of asking this inquisitive question: what is lacking as of the corporate governance framework that exists now? Why should we look for something from the scriptures? Is there something in the Indian scriptures which could fill some void which is existing? Probably we are finding something hollow in the framework that is existing today. Ek sunapan sa hai. So what is that void which we are trying to fill? That probably led me to a little bit of deep thinking on this word scriptures. Indian scriptures is beyond mastery. There are a lot of elders who are in this august assembly, and I should profess that if there is anything meaningful in what I deliver, the credit goes to my gurus. And if there is any mistake that I would make, I am solely responsible for it. Scriptures can broadly be classified into two areas, two segments. What we call Shruti, what we call Smriti. Now, what is the Shruti? They are passed on from generations to generations just by what people have heard. All our ancient rishis were referred to as mantra drishtas. Unfortunately or fortunately, they did not know something called a Copyright Act. If they had Non-Copyright Act. Every modern management guru, right from Peter Drucker to all the Nobel laureates, could have been tried in International Court of Justice. The Vedas, the Upanishads, the Sharams of the Vedas, are classified as Shruti. But what is quite interesting is the Smriti memoir. There is a big list of Smritis. What does Smriti try to tell us? They record three important aspects of human life: Kala, Desha, Guna. There have been scores and scores of noble souls in this Karma Bhumi. This Karma Bhumi has witnessed tremendous conflicts, lots and lots of invasion. It has reinvented itself whenever a challenge was thrown. But we should all be proud of having born in this Karma Bhumi for one major reason. You cannot show a king of this land who has professed a way of life which has now come to be called Hinduism with blood tainted in his hands. And that is the reason this country or this desh continues to live forever. It will continue to live forever. When I entered the hall, what struck me was this term, New India. Boss, our India is always new. There is nothing called a old India and a new India. Our India is permanently a new India, which is beyond the fathom of the Western minds. Guna, Kala, Desha, Guna. Start reading the scriptures from the days of Kautilya. Look at the amount of scriptures that has been handed over to us from people who have been blessed with divinity. Somebody like Kabir Das, who otherwise would have gone unnoticed, just by a divine spark, gave all his outpourings, which could easily form the subject matter of millions of PhD theses for Harvard Business School. So when I was looking at these terms, Smriti, what are all classified as Smriti, starting from Upaveda. I am blessed to be standing in God's own country, which is synonymous with one of the excellent Upavedas which world is trying to address now, called Ayurveda. Smriti also includes Vedanga, Jyotisha. Scores and scores of years before, our forefathers have calculated exactly when an eclipse will take place. The two great Puranas, Ramayana and Mahabharata, leave alone for a moment whether Rama was a god or Krishna was a god. Try to understand the little nitty-gritties and subtleties which the so-called author of those epics have given to us. I would just like to point out one aspect of Ramayana. Look at the beautiful relationship between the son and the father, Rama and Dasharatha. And the entire Ramayana revolves around Pitruvakya Paripalana. He wanted to be an obedient son, which primarily means the son idealized his father. But even though Rama idealized his father, mind you, the history says Dasharatha had 60,000 plus wives. But Rama had one and only Sita, with whom probably he did not spend too much of an happy time at all. Is this not a contradiction that could give us excellent moral values for a human life? What else should we look for? Why should we even look at chicken soup or something else? That is the biggest problem with all of us. Gita. So many Gitas, Bhagavad Gita, Shakti Gita, Uddhava Gita, Dharma Shastrat, Darshana Shastras. Agama Shastras. Just go to the temples. Look at the way the temples in Kerala are different from temple in Tamil Nadu, temples in Karnataka. You get so much to learn. The Bhakti Sutras, the Narada Bhakti Sutra, the various outpourings of people like Surdas, who was an Andha Kavi, but describes Krishna as if he is seeing him in flesh and blood. How else could we explain all this other than a simple thought that struck me when I was looking at this long list of scriptures? Ours is the only land which has not been stuck by one idea generated at a time, but it has continuously allowed people to experiment and evolve. It has continuously allowed to experiment and evolve. For those of you who think of the concept of heaven and hell, let me tell you now, Shastras do not talk of hell at all. That is the only big difference between our way of life in this country, which has come to be called by foreigners as Hinduism. It is not the name which we gave it ourselves. It was the name given by the foreigners. How is this way of life different from the other ways of life? In other ways of life, what happens after this life? You will be judged. Boss, we are not going to be judged at all. Till your soul gets refined, you will get an opportunity to refine yourself. There is nothing called punishment. Brahmaiva Satyam. If you think God is divinity personified, mercy personified, how can God create hell where there is no place for mercy? And if it is God's creation and God does not reside in hell, he is no God at all. So the sum and substance, there is nothing called hell. Yes, if you do something against the Dharma Shastras, you will be demerited. That is the words our elders use. They don't say you are going to be punished. There is a merit, there is a demerit. So I was just thinking, why is there, not only in terms of governance, world over, there is so much of interest in our Hindu way of life? What is that which fascinates people so much, which has not been fascinating them so far? That probably made me look at the most often used, I should say, abused term, globalization. We are living in a world which is dominated by the discoveries of information technology. Excellent. They say global village, we take pride. Arey yaar, even before somebody talked of globalization, our scriptures talk of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. We have forgotten it. In the world filled with rat race and cutthroat competition, we are all running for something, not even looking back. What are we running for? There is so much of treasure here. Why should we even go and look to the Western world? I just thought, how is Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam going to compare if I pit it with globalization? Globalization has been possible because of outcome of scientific and technological advancements. But Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam is a cultural and a spiritual concept, looking upon the whole world as one's own family. That is where the problem comes for us today. We have long forgotten the concept of families in India. When I meet some of my students and ask them, are you married? Yes, sir. Okay, how about kids? We have planned not to have kids for the next 10 years. I do not know where they borrowed this concept from. Planning not to have a kid. Planning for not having a family. That is something which is against the Indian scriptures. While the globalization is bordered on materialism, consumerism, Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam is bordered on two pillars of love and harmony. Cooperation. We are not worried about competition. Dhane dhane pe likha hai kane wale ka naam. The success of globalization depends on exploitation of man, exploitation of nations, exploitation of nature, for which we are paying through the nose now. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam is not about exploiting men or nation or resources. It is understanding how the individual interest can be integrated into the collective interest. Just like in a family, all of us look at what is good for the family rather than what is good for me. In globalization, you are filled with a lot of case studies of failures of companies, failures of accounting firms which were once called the pride of the accounting profession. We talk of accounting scams. We talk of premiers of countries tried for offenses involving in bribery. We are inventing new legislations, Bribery Act, Criminal Justice Act, Money Laundering Act. So globalization has very little ethical or moral considerations. Whereas our scriptures, when it talks of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, ensures nobody gets a disproportionately larger share of whatever is available, just like in a family. That is the reason why our forefathers, when they used to do the yajna, the yaga, after they offer everything to the divine, they will not take pride and say, this is mine. They will say, na mama. Whatever is God's creation goes back to him. And it is there for the benefit of all of us. So there is a lot to be learned from our own scriptures. So that brought me to the conclusion of what Mr. Shyam was trying to say in the press release. I have started studying the scriptures. Even now, during the break, he told me, my dream is to give something original to this world as a contribution from India in the field of corporate governance. You can, you will, and you should. Provided we all sit back, close our eyes for a couple of minutes, and reorient our thought process. What is the reorientation that is required? The Western concept of business, profit motive, stakeholder considerations, conflict of interest, line up all the concepts, there is one commonality. Individual within quotes is important, and everything else integrates with it. Shift the concept. Don't talk about individuals anymore. Look at the entire time, space, place, people, the roles we all have in various corporations on the basis of Akhanda Mandalakara concept. Now, what is this Akhanda Mandalakara concept? What is the purpose of this human life? What is the purpose of this human life? What are we here for? Are we trying to establish our name? Are we trying to establish the fame that we have acquired because of the profession or the scores and scores of degrees that go behind the name? Are we trying to establish a wealthy empire? Some of you might have read this anecdote even from the life of the so-called Alexander the Great. He started conquering one country after another. 35. He was struck by fatigue. No land to conquer. Fatigue. Thank God. What he conquered was 1/6 of the world which was known to him at that point of time. And he knew that he is going to die. One day before the death, he calls his minister. He said, probably this will be the last order. What is the order? I'll be dead in a day or two. And when you are trying to do the last honors for me, and you are trying to bury me with my hands outside the coffin. Let the hands be open. The minister said, why? We want you to have an honorable burial. No. Let the entire world know that a person called Alexander, who took pride in saying he has conquered every bit of this world, has left without a single sand in his hand. What is the purpose of this life then? What is that we are all running from pillar to post every day? That is where our forefathers talk about Akhanda Mandala Karam concept. The individual reaches out to the ultimate. There is an I, Agam, this I, one point of time will have to become Aham Brahmasmi. So if I start evolving from Agam to Agam Brahmasmi, caste, creed, community, religion, good, bad, people who do not have money, people who have money, people who have power, people who are literate, people who are not literate, nothing will make a difference to me. Therefore, I want all of us probably, including me, to have a reorientation of thought. I thought let me get into very specifics. Reorientation of thought how? The motto of our prestigious institute that is completing glorious 50 years. Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara, taken from Taittiriya Upanishad. Simple essence of human life. Even Mahanarayana Upanishad says, Tasmat Satyam Paramam Vadanti, which is the supreme path, path of truthfulness. Satyam Vada. But probably, I think, as a whole, we have not understood the undercurrent of Satyam Vada. Let us not stop with interpreting speak truth. No. Manasa Vacha Karmana. Then only the cycle of Satya is complete. Your thought, your speech, your action must be the same. For the conference, I have bought a new pair of shoes. 4,500 rupees worth. After the conference, I go and enter the sanctum sanctorum of Sri Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple. The arti is being shown. I close my eyes. Om Namo Narayana. I suddenly worry about my 2,500, 4,000 rupees shoe. Manasa Vacha Karmana. What is the use of standing before the Lord, submitting this physical body, when mentally I am just clinging on to my 2,500, 4,000 rupees shoe? So let us not interpret this Satyam Vada as just speaking the truth. There has to be an integration of thought, speech, action. Taitriya Aranyaka. Tasmat yat purusho manasabi gacchati tatvacha vadati tat karmana karoti. For you to speak truth, you need to decide you want to be truthful. Truthfulness, the quality must be ingrained in your thought process. If the quality of truthfulness is ingrained in your thought process and becomes a normal way of life, and you're not going to take pride in coming out of any meeting all and tell somebody, I spoke the truth, that is what you are created for. You take it as simple as that. Then the integration is easy to happen. If it goes into my thought, I'll tell you an example which probably most of you who are my age would have noticed in your younger days. The situation has drastically changed in our dining halls today. I still remember as a 5-year, 6-year-old when I sat to take food, and suppose I wanted to say something to my sister or my father who was taking food with me, my mom used to say, shut up, eat, do not talk. Do not talk. This is not the place where you have to talk. This is the place where you have to eat. Annam na nindhyat. I never used to understand. I probably thought in my own crooked way, she wants to complete her work and go to sleep peacefully. And that is the reason why she is trying to goad me not to speak and extend the entire dinner or the lunch. No. If your mind is focusing elsewhere, after taking some amount of food, you feel you have taken. You don't feel you are any more hungry. Then after 35, 36, you go to a doctor and the doctor prescribes a laundry list of medicines. Medicines before taking food, medicine after taking food, medicine before sleep, medicine after sleep. Then your food becomes your medicine. So if manasa, vacha, karmana, if you are able to integrate all the three, then there is no reason why dharmam will not chara. Then there is no reason why dharma will not chara. I am reminded of a small anecdote from Kautilya's life. Lot of students from Greece, they heard that India is a very rich country, but living peacefully. How is it possible? If people have a lot of wealth, there must be some conflict. If there is a lot of conflict within a political party, then it is simple that party is growing in its balance sheet size. Obvious. How is it possible? They were not happy with what they earned. They wanted to see it physically. So they came all over to this holy land. They walked along the marketplace. They asked the people, are you all happy? They said, what is this question? We all feel happy, we live happy. Note the difference. Note the difference. How Western we have become. I asked somebody, how are you? He says, I am fine. Nobody tells me, I live fine. I am fine. What do you mean? Are you existing? Are you maintaining? Are you living? जीना है, ये तो जीने का मौका. We are not living. I am fine. Early morning, we wish people over WhatsApp or SMS, good day. Stupid idea. When you go to bed, ask two simple questions. I had an opportunity and urge to do something which was dharma nisheda. I was able to control my indriyas, senses, and ensured I did not do it. I did not think of doing something, but when I saw the larger interest of me doing it rather than getting any personal benefit, I did it. I did not do something which was against the law. I did something for the benefit of others. Then you thank God for the good day and go to sleep. That is what our scriptures say. That is what our scriptures say. If you keep on wishing like this, the Western concept of good day, already we have created a good day biscuit. We will eat it. So those citizens of that Maurya kingdom said, yeah, we live happy, we feel happy. The next question from the students. What do you think is the reason? They said simple. We have an able king called Chandragupta Maurya, who is protecting this land like a lion. So there is nothing which will befall us. We can be happy, we can be peaceful. Oh, we want to meet him. By all means, his doors are open for anybody, anytime. So they went to the kingdom and they were given an appointment, and they first complimented the king for the kind words they heard in the marketplace. They said, we are here as students of political science. So we would like to know what is the secret of your success. It has become a fashion these days. I wonder at times on the budget day, when the budget speech is on, and the entire announcement has not even been completed, or people have not even gone through the 1,100 pages of the entire budget document, compiled so painfully by so many people, immediately half of the screen, Jaitley will be talking. Somebody who is not even half his age, somebody who has not even understood economics in full, somebody who has not even traveled the length and breadth of India to understand the various problems our country faces, will immediately put a quote and say, Jaitley, nation wants to know. So these people humbly said, Vidya datati vinayam. So these people said, we are here to learn. Chandragupta Maurya laughed and said, Are yaar, if people are thinking I am ruling the kingdom, probably they are poor fellows. They do not know. It is my guru who rules the kingdom. The students saw one another. What is this fellow? So there was a proxy rule even at that point of time. So let us not blame. No, it is there in our genes. The concept of proxy rule is not invented by any one party. It was there in the genes. But only thing, no, there is a gene which has been transgressed from abroad. That is a slightly different issue. Not the right platform to discuss. So they said, Guru. Then one of the students said, murmured, then he must be more powerful. Check whether we can get an appointment. They asked, can we meet that Guru? Very, very easy. He called a guard. Show them the way to the forest and tell them the only hut which is there is the place where my Guru will be residing. Far away from the city. The students could not believe. A person whom the king acknowledges as the proxy ruler of the country, living far away from the country in a dense forest, without any security, no AK-47, no national security guard, no cabinet rank. What is this? Unheard of. And you want us to meet him? And he was gardening. The guru was doing some work in the garden. The students introduced themselves. And as is the case with any person who is passionate about teaching, the sight of a student makes the teacher a child. So the great Arthashastra's author, Chanakya, asked, what are you here for? What made you come, bring you here from faraway place? They explained. And this is what the king said, you're ruling the country. Chanakya broke into extreme laughter. Am I ruling the country? I thought, after so many years, I have produced one good student called Chandragupta Maurya. I think still he has to learn something. I have to bring him back to the Gurukula once more. I thought he was fit enough, so I sent him from the forest to the country. I think he has still not learned. I think I'll have to recall that degree. Wrongly granted. Convocation cancelled. No, but that is what he said. No, it is very simple. I do not rule the kingdom. I have always told him what is dharma. I have a difficulty in Indian scriptures, the more I read, in communicating. I would be happy if somebody in the audience could tell me one apt English term for dharma. I've been trying for the last so many years to pore over several dictionaries to check whether I can find one apt English word for dharma. Then I finally said, I told myself, I'll hereafter say only dharma. Because anyway you understand. The closest that I can think of is maybe righteousness. So Chanakya said, I have taught my student the Dharma Shastras. And this Bharatavarsha is ruled by the Dharma Shastras. As simple as that. The student said, what is the advantage? Very simple. Chanakya may go. Chandragupta Maurya may go. Shastras will continue to remain in this country, and this country will be continued to be ruled by Shastras. So that is the essence of governance. That is the essence of governance. So the problem with all of us when we talk of corporate governance framework, we are looking at that elusive thing which we think can be imposed on people. Sorry. Personally, I am convinced compliance is not going to work. Compliance is not going to work. Make the stakeholder feel a very simple concept. Is he clear of what he wants? Is he clear of what he wants? Is he worried about the ends? Is he worried about the means? As an accountant, I know, I can vouch with certainty, all those balance sheets and P&L which are printed and adopted in the so-called AGM, 75% of them are prepared, not maintained. There is a big difference between preparing financial statements and maintaining financial statements. So where have we gone wrong? Where have we gone wrong? Where have we sold our soul to the Western concept? We have forgotten the so-called I. We have forgotten that I. I am not for a moment hinting that we should all be egoistic or filled with pride. There is a very beautiful book, I should not say book, treatise, Tattva Bodha. If somebody wants to start reading the Indian scriptures, that is the first work you should go to, Tattva Bodha. But by the time you understand that, I think you will be in your last days. There is a very small question and a small answer. When you talk of qualities of the human being, how is it different from other creatures? One excellent quality we have is what we all take pride in saying, intellect. And where does this intellect originate from? Manas. Chandrama manaso jataha. There seems to be a relationship between the lot of thought process that collides in your mind and the movement of the moon also. The Westerners have acknowledged this, calling a person with unsound mind as a lunatic. We don't accept. We say it is stupid logic. So Tattvabodha asks a question and answers, Shamaha kaha. There are a lot of values of human life which are being discussed there. Satya, Shama, Tapa, Vairagya, and so on. Shamaha kaha. Mano nigraha. Resolution of the mind. Simple question, simple answer. 2 marks granted, exam passed. I go to a guru and ask, is it easy to control mind? He says, what makes you ask this question? Mind is turbulent. Yes. I don't think anybody can control mind. True. To control mind, you have to work very, 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 very hard. Yes. Even if you control it, like what Vishwamitra tried to do, it still runs away, it still goes away. Very much yes. Everything seems to be true. That is why there are so many self-styled gurus today making mind control a multi-billion-dollar business. What we are missing in this entire discussion is, mind is called in our scriptures Anthakarana. Like your eyes, like your ears, like your nose, like your tongue. This karana, this instrument cannot be seen. It is well embedded inside, Anthakarana. Now we know what is eye meant for, what is ears meant for, what is nose meant for. But boss, have we in any point of time in our life asked a question, what is mind meant for, and are we using it appropriately? No. We have never asked that question. We have taken mind for granted. Because we have taken mind for granted, we take time, place, people for granted. So what is mind meant for? Remember 3 things what our scriptures say. There is an emotional mind. There is an emotional mind. Mind is known for knowing something. The second aspect of mind, you need to remember something from your mind. Cognitive mind. Emotional mind, cognitive mind. Recollecting mind. So there is a sense of emotion, there is a sense of knowledge. Both are inbuilt into this concept of mind. That is where one of the greatest philosopher statesmen this country has ever produced, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, he quotes, and I quote him, the attitude of the Indian scriptures is quite interesting. The biggest difference between the Indian scriptures and the rest of the world, there is no fixed intellectual belief. Intellect is subordinated to intuition. I happened to come and sit there during the last session. And one thing that I noticed when the practicing lawyers were discussing about NCLT, one word that invariably they threw is experience, experience, experience. This is what our scriptures also say. You have to experience happiness. There is nothing called happiness. Happiness is not an object. If happiness is an object, there will be a lot of shops selling happiness. Buy 5 kilo, 2 kilo free, Diwali Dhamaka offer. Happiness is not an object. I see a lady on the road and I point to her and I say, she is not beautiful. 2 days later, she gets married. She was not beautiful to me, she was beautiful to somebody else. That somebody else told her, you look more beautiful than Aishwarya Rai, which at times may be true. So there is nothing called beautiness or beauty. So you are not loving a beautiful object. You are not loving a beautiful object. The object you are loving seems beautiful to you. There is a world of difference. I wish I understood this 30 years back. So Dr. Radhakrishnan says, our intellect is subordinated to intuition. Our dogmas to experience. Outer expressions to inward realization. This is the essence of what we call Dharma Shastra. He goes on to give a classical example of how our forefathers represented this. We are all brought up in a traditional way in our family saying, pray to God daily. Prayer. Is God so egoistic that all of us must pray? If he doesn't pray, will he not grant his boon? As such, we are all born in this world with an expiration date. Fortunately, we do not know the expiration date. Thankfully also. So God is not egoistic asking for prayers. So what is the purpose of this prayer? Dr. Radhakrishnan says, the Indians do not look upon prayer as a sort of Aladdin's lamp to produce anything we want. God is not a magician stopping the sun in its course and staying the bullet in its march. But his truth and constancy, his mercy and justice find their embodiment in the implacable working of the moral law, the essence of Sharanagati. So why do I pray? I submit myself without any qualification to the Supreme Omnipotent. I don't ask anything in return. If I ask anything in return for prayer, it becomes a contract. For me, prayer is not a commercial contract. For me, prayer is an integral part of my life where every day I close my eyes for a couple of moments, look at something beyond this world and subjugate myself to that Akhanda Brahm and say, I know you are the supreme boss and you are always right. Please guide me in all my actions. I leave the result to him. So I got the final answer for what is lacking in corporate governance framework now. We have been trying to create, since the days of Adrian Cadbury, if I am right, a governance framework that is more worried about the result. I think it is time. It is time we change our thought process of writing a corporate governance code or a framework starting with an objective. Rather, we should twist it around and say, I take pride in the process that I implement. I take responsibility for the process and leave the outcomes to evolve as and when they evolve. You can't stop the human mind from being more and more crooked, more and more criminal. And it pains when I look at people who are learned with a lot of postgraduate degrees behind their name becoming criminals. Accused in the charge sheet. They are all people with degrees. Is there a way of stopping them? There is no way of stopping them. How much ever you twist and turn the code, there is going to be one person who will say there is no comma here. These two words can be interpreted like this. You don't worry, I will save you. We can go to the court. By the time it comes to the Supreme Court, all of us are dead and gone. As Adam Smith said, in the long run, all of us are dead. So you can't stop the human mind from being greedy. Rather, if you reorient the entire framework to put more emphasis on the process, take pride, incentivize people who implement process without waiting for the results, I think we would have definitely evolved an original Sanatana Dharmic model for corporate governance. And I would like to conclude with one small point. Life has become too hurried. As I said, we are all running from one point to another point, one place to another place, without even understanding what is that ultimately we are looking for. I have a house. I have bank deposits. I have good investments. I have a beautiful wife. I have a kid. You say, I. Now that is where I would like to invite your attention again to this concept of I, what our forefathers have talked about. And I would be happy if when you take food, lunch, you contemplate for it some time. I am tired, something which all of us say. Is I the body? I am hungry. You're talking about physiological need. So is I physiological concept, not the physical concept? I know this. I'm sure this is what it is. Is I your mind? Is it something to do with your intellect? I did it. I own this. It is mine. So is I the concept of ahankara? So what is this I? Individual is important, no doubt. I is important. But in the process of becoming people with a lot of hurry, we have forgotten to understand one another, to justify our conduct, which at times border on the lines of against the dharmic principles. We are setting up exaggerated claims. That brings me to the last thing which I want to leave with this august audience. Do not get confused in your life between self-expression and self-development. We all want to express ourselves. That is the reason why we have so much of degrees. We are continuously doing the CPA programs. When new laws come in, we would like to be the first to pass that exam and put up a Facebook post. And thanks to WhatsApp and Facebook, self-expression has become a spontaneous expression. The first thing, I controlled myself in the morning when I sat in the flight. Trivandrum, here I come. I said no. At least today, I'll be truthful to myself. When I stand on this stage and speak about Indian scriptures, I should be a little bit worthy of it. I said, I'm not going to do it. So today night, there is one thing for me to say, I wanted to do something, but I said I will not do it. So we confuse ourselves between these two things, self-expression and self-development. So when I talk more on this, people finally ask me a question. Sir, does it mean that Indian scriptures are advocating a life of renunciation, give up work? Sorry, there also I think we have not done our homework properly. Nowhere our scriptures talk of renouncing this world without experiencing everything here. That is the last stage. Starting from the stage of getting trained as a brahmachari, enjoying all the pleasures as a grihastha. Then comes your sannyas and bhanaprastha. So what is this finally you are renouncing? I am renouncing when I understand my Atma Jnana. What do I understand? I am nothing. This I is nothing. I am just an instrument in the ants called, whatever name you call it, God, the Supreme Being. And I have been brought here with a specific purpose. And my purpose is to keep on asking that question, what is my purpose? Each one of us have a purpose in life. None of us who have been created by the Supreme can be defective. There is no Six Sigma application there. All the products from that universe are always good units. We somehow, because of rag, dvesh, mog, mad, matsarya, because of all this, we convert this good unit into bad unit. And we take pride in saying we are a bad unit. Let us stop that. Let us stop that. And let us start looking more and more inwards. More and more looking inwards with reference to corporate governance framework would also mean, rather than blatantly saying we are here for protecting the interest of all the stakeholders, let us ask a question for each of those stakeholders. Have I created a conducive environment wherein they are knowledgeable about what do and what can they expect? What is that they are supposed to do? We all talk of adulteration. How many of us take pains when we fill petrol or diesel in a petrol pump, at least once in a while, to ask what is the density of the petrol that you bought today, and check whether it is in accordance with the standard which is put up on the website of the oil marketing company? And tomorrow when there is a big accident and 40 school children die and there is a breaking news and the ministers don't answer, we all sit and make a hue and cry. If only few citizens have been asking the petrol pump wallahs, are you not adulterating? Are you doing your job correctly? This would not have happened. So who is to be blamed? So let us understand the essence of our Indian scriptures, where lot of emphasis has been given to the energy within ourselves that could transform the entire environment around us, and take a clue from that to develop not only the corporate governance code, but also develop this country into a great country, which it is and it will continue to be. So I once again take this opportunity to thank the organizers for having provided me this wonderful, wonderful platform to share some of my thoughts. As I said, they gave me an alibi by saying learning. Learning is forever. Sharing makes it stronger. And that is the essence with which I stood here. And as I said at the outset, if there is something which was meaningful, the credit goes to the gurus who had initiated me into this process. And if there is anything stupid, sounded stupid, it is ultimately because of my total ignorance. Once again, I thank the august audience for the wonderful patient listening. May God thank all of us and also bless all of us with peace, happiness, prosperity. Satyam vada, dharmam chara, satyameva jayate. Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Sri Ramanji, for an enlightening address. I request Mr. Mahesh Shah, past President ICSI, to come onto the stage and please give Shaheed Ki Beti certificate to Sri Ramanji.